Welcome back, everybody, to a special Saturday Styrene Spotlight. Wow, it's not just Saturday Styrene Spotlight, it's my 1,000 subscriber video. Wow, it's so cool. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate all your support. And for this video, I want to show you, of course, some plastic model cars. I do have some die-cast because I want to show you a mixture of both. And these are vehicles that I guess represent my passion for this hobby and just for cars in general. And it's kind of a overview, or whatever you want to call it, of where things kind of started for me. As a kid, I loved cars as early as I can remember. Earliest, yes. And so I think even probably after I was born and driven home from the hospital, the sound of the engine, I think, is probably what really made me fall in love with the cars. And I actually remember being a baby, just a few moments in my babyhood, and I think one of those was when I was in the back seat. Definitely I realized I couldn't move. I'm just there, and I could just look up and see blue sky like this, and then you'd see tops of trees as you drive by, and the windshield, I couldn't see nothing but sky either, except the traffic light would go overhead, and oh. So I think that's probably the first time I fell in love with cars. But definitely, once I started to be able to walk around and look at cars, I absolutely fell in love with them. I just love the way they look and everything. Well, you know, of course, way back when, there were lots of 50s cars that were just used cars, and not in beautiful shape like these. Here, I'll turn this around. There we go. And so I remember growing up, you know, loving 60s cars, and then 50s cars were even cooler because they had so much chrome. And well, these are just some examples of cool 50 cars that I love. And one of my earliest memories, being a kid, I think I was probably 8 years old, out in the front yard, and I heard this car rumbling down the street, and I thought, whoa, what's that? Right? I looked up, and I was actually playing with my four-door model of a tin 56 or 55 Ford. It was a four-door model, and it was all red. Well, this one, not the Victoria hardtop, you know, not with the bar. It was a hardtop, but not with that bar that goes over. And well, it was red and white instead of blue and white here. And it had well, just black steel wheels, thin white wall tires. And he came rumbling down the street, and he backed off the gas and went bang! And I thought, wow, I thought that was so cool. And so that really left a lasting impression, and I've always loved these cars ever since. Even though I'm a GM guy. But that was a very cool memory, so love that. And then, of course, well, I'm a GM guy because my dad never had one of these, and my uncle never had one, but my uncle had a four-door 65 and Biscayne. That's it. Then for some reason my dad bought a 66 Biscayne. I guess they thought they were good cars or something. Well, I guess they are, you know, but four-door Biscayne. Oh, anyways. But the cool thing is, on the sill plate, you know, when you climb in the car, there's a little well, emblem, GM emblem, and then it says GM, Mark of Excellence. I thought, hey, my initials are GM. So I think that's when I identified with Chevys, and I really started, you know, noticing all GM vehicles and absolutely love them. Well, from that point, my dad, after he sold the 66 Biscayne, well, he bought a 68 Volkswagen Beetle. And well, this is probably a 71, 72 model. But essentially, you know, they had that kind of bumpers on it. And this one is kind of cool casting. And it's made in Western Germany, yep. And it's a Gamma model. And the sun's coming out here, so I hope they don't melt my plastic model kits, but very cool. And as a kid, you know, riding in the back seat, listening to that engine running, I thought that was pretty cool. And a kid can identify with a small vehicle much easier, and I thought the car was absolutely cool as heck. And then of course my dad started putting, you know, little chrome, you know, fender guards and all the little chrome pieces and whatnot on it. And it looked pretty cool. He had thin white wall tires and chrome trim rings, and then he did kind of a wood grain mac tack on the dashboard. But anyways, that's when I fell in love with the Volkswagen Beetles and Volkswagens in general. And I have a Jada Toys version, and absolutely cool. And Jada Toys makes some of the coolest Volkswagen Beetles. So there's that one. I love it with the roof rack and the, you know, shades in the back window, and very nice. Love it. Well, of course, identifying with GM vehicles now, I really loved the Camaro when it came out. You know, the '67 Camaro. And of course, I love the Mustang. It was cool too, but the Camaro, I think, is just so much better. I absolutely love it. Now, of course, when I was in high school, another lasting impression that was made on me was, well, my friend lived in a house. He lived in the top suite, and there's a guy that lived in the bottom suite, and he actually had a 1971 Z28 Camaro in silver with white stripes. And so when I go to visit my friend, I'd see the car parked in the driveway, and I just absolutely fell in love with the car. And so the second gen is actually my favorite, although I love all Camaros. But the second gen, just somehow, I just love it. Absolutely gorgeous car. And I had a second gen Camaro. And well, I'm showing you my diecast of my real cars I used to have. And well, my very first car was the '63 Volkswagen Squareback. This one's a '65. But I absolutely loved it. Bought it off my friend's mother, and I paid $250 for it. But it had a bent valve and a few other issues, so I actually spent another $250 to get it fixed. And once it was fixed, it ran great. I loved it. Well, I kept that for a little while, but my second car, and thanks to my Uncle George, when I was a kid too, he actually bought a 1959 model. It was well used, but he actually had to replace the grille with this perforated metal kind of screen that you could buy for decorative purposes or something. But anyways, he did that, and I thought it looked pretty cool. And I think it was blue before he painted it, but he had to do body work on it, and then he painted it these colors, and absolutely loved it. Again, being a kid, you can identify with these cars so much more, and I think this is a really cool diecast to have. Okay, and then my third car wasn't this model, but it was a '63 Chevy 2. This is the Nova version, and so of course I love Novas from this point on, and I've always loved the Novas. And so very cool casting here. Even got the antenna, very nice features on it. And then we moved to another car that I had. Now this is the '65 Pontiac Bonneville. This is actually the more upscale version of the '65 Pontiac. Mine was a Pontiac Laurentian, which is the Canadian version of the Pontiac Catalina, which was available in the US. So very cool there. And again, I bought this off of my friend's stepdad. And now this was in the mid '70s, and it was you know, after the gas crisis had hit back in the early '70s, I think it was. And then big cars, well, you could get them for a dime a dozen, right? And so this one, my friend's stepdad's '65 Pontiac, he actually bought it in '65 from the first owner. Well, it was traded back in at the dealership, and so I was essentially the third owner of the '65 Pontiac many years later, of course. And well, I paid $200 for it. Now in today's market, that same car, if it's in the same shape, would be worth like $8,000-9,000, maybe even more. Anyway, so that's very cool. I love the big cars. And again, After I had the Pontiac, I think it was after, around the same time, before, after, whatever. Again, big cars like this, you could get them really cheap, and I actually bought one for $100. Now, this is the Electra model, and same with the Pontiac Bonneville. They actually stretched the rear end a little longer, and it was more upscale version of it. But I had the '62 Buick Invicta, and the Invicta model was actually the 1 year only, but then it was renamed Wildcat for the next many years, and it was a very cool car. $100. It had a repaint job on it, and it was a metallic brown, and the bodywork, you know, on the rear end didn't look the greatest, but it still looked really nice. It was all painted, and I had to replace the carpet in it from the previous owner's dog. Scratched it all up and whatnot. But, you know, a young guy with a big car, and had a 401 cubic inch V8 in it, and I got the thing up to 115 miles an hour at one point. Anyways, so very cool to have a model kit of that. And then another car I had was the '72 Nova. Now this is supposed to be the 1970 Nova from Maisto, part of their Pro Rod series. And mine was just all stock. It even had just rubber mats in it, or floor mats, no carpets. And it had a straight 6-cylinder engine in it, 2-speed automatic. But it had great bones, and I wanted to do something like this, do a Pro Street version, or just do a SS clone, or what have you. And so very cool here. And well, just open the door for you there. But I love the Nova. But, you know, life happens, and I ended up having to sell it. But then the next car, once I started working at a Toyota dealership, there was a '76 Camaro traded in. It was orange with a black interior. Now, it was completely stock. It had radio delete. I had the 305, which is the base model V8, but still V8 automatic, orange with black interior. And I just kept it stock and drove it for 6 years and just loved it. Well, this is a cool model kit. And AHC 100, well, that was a company that did the T-tops for Camaro and Firebirds before, you know, Pontiac and GM or Chevy actually started doing their own. So you can tell because there's a little dog leg or whatever. So the factory ones, it would go straight up from the back. But anyways, very cool model to have. And now this was the second styling of the second generation Camaro. And the third generation is cool enough. Okay, here we go. So absolutely love the front end of this with the split bumpers. And I actually like these too. You know, at least they kept the same basic identity. You know, you knew that was a Camaro, and I love it with the lights up there, just like the Z28 had. Now, some had turn signals. The earlier ones had turn signals under the bumpers, but still very cool. Love to have this kit. So once again, thank you all my subscribers. 1,000, that's so cool. I've been waiting for this moment. It seemed like it took forever, but I'm so glad I'm there now. And if you're watching and haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, at least hit that like button so YouTube knows that you like my content, and it'll help my channel grow. So thank you very much, everybody. I couldn't be happier. So I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one.